Hello everyone, this is Venom, and today we got a new dev insight for something called Solo Ops coming out in codename Frontier. Now, there have been a lot of different videos made about this by a lot of different people. I'm going to read over the article a bit, I'm going to read the TLDR, I'm going to read over the problem, and I'm going to give my thoughts on what Bungie said, because I do have some definitive thoughts about this. In fact, I'm not quite on the hype train well, I'm not going to say I'm not on a hype train about it, but it's something we've seen before, and I'm going to talk about that here in a bit. But we're going to go with the TLDR. It says solo ops are 10 minutes missions that can be completed by single players or fire teams. There are low commitment options that still allow you to use challenge customization to progress towards better gear, and they're being built for their experiences to stay fresh across repeated plays. Now, it starts off with the problem. Over the last few years, we've built on the promise of Destiny as a game where you can come together with other Guardians and enjoy the game together. We built a lot of new match-made activities from Battlegrounds to Onslaught, which are all really just strikes, but whatever, and wrote out features like Fireteam Finder to make it easier than ever to find or to group up with other people. We've watched our community come together like never before. That's great. Sometimes you just want to jump in and play for 10 or 20 minutes and feel like it was worth your time. Right now, the only options for doing so either put you in direct competition with other players, Crucible or Gambit, or it can feel like you're in a race to finish against your own fireteam member strikes and battlegrounds. The activities best suited to solo players are time-consuming. Story missions can take half an hour or more to complete. Lost sectors require you to go into the destination and play them, and jumping into multiplayer activities as a solo player, like a dungeon, can be stressful and take even more time than the activity would with a fire team. We identified a gap in our offerings, short activities that lone players can take at their own pace. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. I'm not even going to bother with the rest of the article because they're going to talk about what the solo ops are. Solo ops are adventures from base game Destiny 2. That's what they sound like. Solo ops are basically adventures. Now, for those of you that don't know, that didn't play when the Red War came out, we used to have something called adventures. Now, they were not lost sectors. They weren't part of the main story. They were like side quests that you could go into on every destination, and they had them. You could replay them. They were just little adventures. They had little story beats to them. They had a story. They did give some lore and some background, and you could get prizes from them. You could get rewards. That's all this sounds like. It sounds like they're bringing back adventures. Now, the big issue with adventures were that oftentimes by the time you're ready to do adventures, you were already way past the gear you needed for them. Like, I think some adventures were offering blue gear, or they were offering gear that was not going to be worth it. So unless you just wanted to play it for the story, you probably weren't doing too many of them. And at the time when the adventures were out there, people were still trying to grind up the gear level. So a lot of adventures didn't get played a whole lot, but they offered better gear, then yeah, adventures would have been probably more popular back in the day. This is what it sounds like they're making now, is making it adventures. Now, I do like the idea of having more adventures, just having like these small mini stories. I like that idea, bringing those back. I'd like to see some of the original ones come back, as well as some new and reprised or some new and improved ones. However, I also think that Bungie has a couple other things they can do to help the solo player experience, because there are some things I would like to do personally as a person likes to do stuff solo sometimes. For example, I think the big one right now is to make it to where you can do a solo strike. Right now, it's unless you're doing some weird net stuff and, changing like dates on consoles or doing some weird net stuff on PC, you can't really do a strike solo. Solo strikes are something I'd really want to do for a while, and I'm not just talking about nightfalls. I mean just say regular strike. So that'd be one way to do stuff solo in the game. I do like, again, the idea of coming out with adventures. That'd be great. And then I feel like we should be doing something with the lost sectors as well. Now, right now, we can do lost sectors, the daily ones, to get exotic engrams. They removed the new seasonal exotics from that pool. I think they should bring that back. I don't like that change they made to where each season you gotta max out Master Our Rule and then buy the exotics. I mean, it takes a lot of engrams to do that if you haven't been stocking up exotic engrams. I'm somebody who did stock up, and it still took me a couple of days to get them because I was about 2 or 3 short, so I had to go through and burn through all my weeklies to get them, and then get another one for the exotic I want, and then get the roll. It was a pain in the ass. I would much rather farm the exotics from the lost sectors. Now, I think it should be a way where you can, kind of like how you can do the exotic class items now, how you can focus them, make a way for you to be able to focus the exotics that are going to drop out of a lost sector. That's something that could be worth it. And you can do it to where, like, you can't focus it until you've unlocked it. So once you've unlocked it, you can focus it and make it to where your actual your ghost mods actually affect what stats are on the gear too. Those that don't know, I don't know if they've ever changed it, but the stats that came on the exotics out of Lost Sectors were not affected by your ghost mods, which meant that if you wanted, if you had like the discipline mod on there, they're supposed to drop at least 10 plus discipline, and it was not affected by it at all, which sucked. But a lot of people are really hyped up about the solo play thing, about the solo. Again, I'm calling them adventures. They're calling them solo ops. A lot of people are really hyped up for it. Now, these are supposed to be either done solo or with a team of up to 3. I like the option. I do. I'm hoping that we can. They say they're going to make it to where you can get, progressively better gear. So I'm guessing you can get pinnacles out of there. You can get some pinnacle Ingrams to drop. That's great. But, I mean, all it really is them bringing back old content really again, or at least an old idea. Because, again, adventures were a thing at one point. They just really didn't offer any good prizes. Now, had they offered good prizes, good gear, that probably would have helped a lot. And had they actually kept up with adventures, it would be, really cool. They were many stories, and I really did like them when I started playing them. Now, unfortunately, again, at that time, I was worried about grinding up my light level and getting better and better gear, so I did not get to play through all of them. I was grinding stuff that would give me what it is I needed, so unfortunately, I did not get to play all the adventures. I really wish I had, and I really wish that Bungie would come back and give us back all that old content, but this is all solo ops are. It just sounds like they are going to be adventures. Now, I do like the idea of. And again, right now, I'm assuming that Frontiers, I know they said it's going to be non-linear storytelling. I think it's going to be like a nice open world situation. I like the idea of these adventures just kind of all over the place. A lot of these mini stories, they sound like they would be a really good idea. But again, I would also like to see them back in the areas we already have right now, too. So again, bring back the EDZ adventures and or make some for the Cosmodrome. Put them on all the other locations we got, too, not just the wherever we're going for Frontiers. So that's my 2 thoughts about it. Again, people are making. I know people have to make content. I really do, and I understand that. I mean, if you're trying to become bigger, and I am, that you got to make headlines that are snappy. You got to give people reason to watch your video. But I mean, people are like, this is a savior for solo players. If you're a solo player, you have to see this. I mean, all it is just a solo quick mission. It's something we've had before. I'm glad we're bringing it back, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. I don't think it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I know people are kind of starved for information for Frontiers because this is going to be the next big step for Bungie, especially after this year, which, let's face it, is not going so well. Last season, I'm just going to call them seasons. Last season's was not really that great narratively wise, especially the fact that we didn't even get to fight against the big bad at the end. So far, Revenant has been very woefully underplayed. Well, not only underplayed, I'm going to say this is not a lot of content. It's woefully under-contented. I guess that's what you were saying. That's not really a real word, but just seeing how little content there is, it's kind of hurting players. So, Heresy hopefully is a bit better. I can't wait for that one. I think that's going to be the best one out of all 3. And Frontiers, I think, is going to be Bungie's chance to try to come back. I mean, I never thought that Final Shape would go this poorly. I really didn't. And again, apparently it did worse than the Lightfall did. I thought Final Shape was going to blow everything out of the water. I thought it'd be great. And now, I did say there were a lot of high bars that had to hit to keep people interested. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Bungie has hit those high bars, so I'm not really surprised seeing the things I am. But it is nice to see some of the older content ideas coming back. I would just like to see the older content itself come back as well. So that is going to do it for today, guys. Thank you for coming by. If you like what we're doing on the channel, please subscribe to it. If you like the video, please leave a like on it, and I will see you all on the next video.